in the terminal and had very little comment. Here's the pilot of the one-engine Cessna aircraft that went down. You are the pilot? Can I talk to you a minute quickly? I'm from the press. What happened to you here?
No comment.
No comment? You can't tell me what happened? Just a quick comment. What happened?
It's taken off, got some wind shear and got pushed down.
Pushed down.
Yep.
Are you okay? Are you safe?
Doing good. We're both
Doing
good.
good? So what happened? Just a quick comment. What happened?
It's taken off, got some wind shear and got pushed down.
Pushed down.
Yep.
Are you okay? Are you safe?
Doing good. We're both good.
Doing good? So who's with you on the plane? On the system? Huh? Who's with you? Who's with you? Who's traveling with you?
My wife's with me.
Oh, your wife is here. Okay, so you're safe. All right. Thank you. A very frightened, if you will, pilot of the Cessna one-engine plane that went down off the Keene Philly Airport. Speaking to yours truly a little after 11, 12 o'clock. So you heard him say, I was taken off and got pushed by the sheer winds, but we are all okay. Thank God. It was not more serious. That could have been. I left the police and fire officials, and the manager of the airport was also there carrying out the investigation. So saw the both individuals being weighed. And just some protocols, airport protocols. And I'm sure the investigations continue. I tried to reach out to the airport, or the port manager, Mr. Bino Abadwell. Too busy at the time to give a comment. I'm sure he'll comment sometime later. You know, only recently we heard from a former manager of the airport or airports in Dominica, Mr. Don Corriett, retired at this time, expressing concern about the debris that was left there on the airport there in Cape Flood that was dumped there, and warned, what if I'm not saying that the debris caused the incident, but what if? Mr. Don Corriett is on the line with me. Of course, we will speak to Mr. Leonard Linton, the president of the United Workers' Party, on the planned activity this Sunday. But we have Mr. Don Corriett on the telephone at this time. Mr. Corriett, how are you doing?
Fine, I'm doing okay.
When you
enjoying my retirement.
Enjoying your retirement. Well, someday we all have to get there. Well, tell me, when you heard of the incident this morning there on the Kenfield Airport, what did you think of?
Well, two things came to mind. I know Kenfield is a peculiar airport, with, especially following weather systems like that. You'd get eddies, downdraft, wind shear, and that kind of thing. It's a challenging airport. And you can expect to have incidents like that, Not very frequent, but especially in challenging times like that. And that's why I made the point a week ago that we need to leave our shoulders and our clearway free of debris, because you can never tell when an incident is going to occur. And praise God, from the reports I'm hearing, nobody got injured, no serious damage or injuries. But just think of it, that aircraft had drive off the runway and hit into that obstruction, what the implications could be, So I just appealing to the authorities to keep your shoulders free of debris and obstructions,
Well, tell me, well, of course, you've had some experience in that. What are investigators looking for at this time in terms of the crash that just happened? What are they looking for?
Well, first of all, I haven't got the details of the incident, so I'm not.
Well, I just spoke to the pilot who said some wind shear, as you indicated. Given the kind of airport that we have there at Caneville, the wind shear, he was trying to take off, but the wind shear controlled that and that turned the plane upside down.
Yeah, well, that is not uncommon for, especially in weather conditions like that. So it's not uncommon for us to get wind shear or eddies, as I see, downdrafts and tailwinds. So that may be the case. Is it an N-registered aircraft? Is it what registration is it?
Well, I was too far away. I took a picture, but I was too far away. I don't know if it was an N, but it looked like a single engine aircraft.
So wherever the jurisdiction falls with that aircraft, the investigators will do the necessary inquiries as to what caused the accident. So this US N registered, which is US based, NTSB might want to have some interest in that. If it's a V, the Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority will have to have some input in that. But the investigations will have to be carried out to find out what actually caused that aircraft to have that mishap.
Because
I cannot see.
Because I saw while I was there, I saw the pilot and his wife, obviously, and they were being weighed, on the scales, trying to get the weight, I guess, of the aircraft at the time.
Yeah. So weight and balance comes into effect, tailwind factor. That's why aviation. I said that aviation is one of the safest modes of transportation because it's highly regulated. And so all those factors have to be considered. Whether he had a tailwind factor, whether what he's saying from the head office, the record, if there was a share or eddies or crosswinds or whatever, all that has to be taken into consideration. Plus the maintenance of the aircraft, the records. So it's a whole set of issues that have to be taken into consideration. From the operator's side of things, from the aerodrome side of things, the airport has to ensure that when things that had happened, that there are no obstructions that the aircraft hit or add to the complications that the pilots are having.
Hence your complaint the other day about the debris on that airport, off the airstrip, yes?
Yes, I mean, you could put pallets on the shoulder, whether it's away from the center line, whether it's away from you. Look at burial that happened. We have one authority telling us, look, if you're in your yard, make sure you have debris, if you have loose debris, pin it down or strap it down. And here we put in loose debris on the aircraft. If burial had hit us, or we had some guns that lift that debris from the shoulder, and you have packed aircraft on ground. No one knows where that debris could go to. So why put that there? And that's my point. If we know better, do better.
All right, Mr. Correa, thank you very much for your brief comments.
I just want to urge Dominicans to take the hurricane season seriously. We saw what happened on Monday to our neighboring islands. We saw before that we had a tropical wave coming through. We have one coming through this evening again, south of us. But the season has just begun. I urge people to take the advisories from the Met Office and the ODM seriously, because we're going to have a stretch for that hurricane season. We're going to have very active weather coming through. And pay attention to the authorities, pay attention to the advisory.
Again, Don, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing this afternoon. Thank you. Again, the investigations continue. Just to reiterate, a small aircraft went down due to wind shear, according to the pilot, and both occupants escaped with minor injuries. Staying on top of the action, this is Q95, your big station. It's already 21 minutes after the hour. At this time, of course, all questions on everybody's mind at this time. There's some planned activity. I won't say protest, but some meeting is being planned in the city based on what I heard this morning for patriots and Dominicans to stand around the country. But the gathering will be somewhere in the city. I have Mr. Lennox Linton with me, the president of the United Workers' Party, to bring the coordinates together as to what will be happening there. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you doing?
Mr. Peltier, very good afternoon to you, sir.
And before you move on,
all is well.
Let me say my deepest sympathies. I know you lost a family member there.
Yeah, my sister.
Sister-in-law, yes.
Well, my sister.
Your sister, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. It's been a rough time for the Abraham family of 46 Goodwill Road.
Well, stay strong, sir.
Yeah, everybody is trying their best.
Okay. So what's happening on Sunday, sir?
Sunday, the Electoral Reform Coalition, which is a grouping of political parties, civil society organizations in Dominica, concerned about the need for free and fair elections in Dominica. And in that regard, the importance of electoral reforms to fix the process for electing government of the people, by the people, for the people, fairly and freely. Okay. What we've had over the years really is not government of the people, by the people, for the people, which is the definition of democracy. We've had the more and more government by one man and his gang, for one man and his gang, of government of one man and his gang, by one man and his gang, for the benefit of one man and his gang and their friends in the outside world. The people of Dominica play second fiddle. And that situation is a situation that must of necessity concern all the lovers of this blessed land, all the people of Dominica who love their country and want to see right happen in their country, want to see a country that is fair for all and offers equal opportunity for progress and prosperity for all. All Dominicans need to be concerned about the state of affairs, because elections have consequences. And fraudulent elections that are not free, that are not fair, have serious consequences. So what we're seeing now is, after all these years of struggle, standing up, fighting for the right to free and fair elections, after all these years of advocating for changes, basic things like cleaning of the voters list so that only the people who have the right to vote, as the Constitution has determined, or supreme law, will vote, and that we can know that it is the people who are supposed to vote that are voting, which is why they need to be properly identified. And so we have spoken through the years about basic reforms like the cleaning of the voters list and having ID cards for voting. Along the way, we have advocated for access to the media for all political parties, candidates contesting elections. We've advocated for campaign finance reform so that we can get rid of the corrupting influence of big money in our elections. And those concerns advocated through the years, those requests made through the years, have seen frustration after frustration of the people's wishes by the sitting government, notwithstanding the existence of an independent electoral commission under the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica that is responsible for free and fair elections in Dominica. So we've come through all these years, Matt Peltier, and now we're at a stage where, going back many years, we thought we were going to have reforms before the election so that we could have free and fair elections. We heard from the Commonwealth Observer Mission in 2014 that the elections were free but not fair because of the numerous instances of bribery and cheating, including the payment of passages, airfares for voters overseas to come home to vote, which is bribery, and the abuse of incumbency. The Commonwealth Secretariat Commonwealth Observer Mission was concerned about that, how the government abused the resource of the state to secure influence and to basically buy votes during the election, utilizing of the state resources, utilizing public officers to be involved in the campaign while they were doing the work, while they were supposed to be doing the work of the state. All of those things. We have, through the years, advocated for reforms of the and changes to the law that would give us a system that is capable, fit for the purpose of free and fair elections in Dominica, so that we can return the country to right order. We can have a government that is the result of the majority votes of conscience of the people of Dominica, and not the votes of other people's dollar bills or the vote of people who are not supposed to be on the register of voters according to the Constitution. What do we have now? After many years and the consultation of the controversial consultation of Sir Dennis Byron, the consultancy, the controversial consultancy of Sir Dennis Byron, which has presented a number of reforms and proposed changes to the legislation, the election laws, basically the House of Assembly Elections Act and the Registration of Electors Act, and introducing a new act, the Electoral Commission Act. Those three pieces of legislation are now, in terms of what the government wants to bring, are now before the people. They mark, in terms of what the government is taking to Parliament, they mark a significant departure from what was suggested by the consultant with which the people of Dominica already had concerns. So what we have right now, to just summarize, is revised laws, two of them, and a new law, which, if they go into the Parliament and they're passed as is, they will give us a situation where the decision at elections as to who runs government in Dominica will be in the hands of our brothers and sisters who no longer live in Dominica and who accept bribes to come home to vote in marginal constituencies. That is the main plan through which the government, the Labour Party, has been winning elections in recent cycles. And there is no way that is fair, and there is no way that it should be accepted in any civilized country around the world. We are standing resolutely against it because it is not fair. And we also have some concerns about the identification of voters and what will happen, whether consistent with the recommendations of Sir Dennis Byron, that it was considered by almost everyone that ID cards with biometric data, facial recognition, fingerprints, and so on, unique ID card number, voter registration number, polling district address, and so on, ought to be on the card. The legislation proposes leaving it up to the discretion of the chief elections officer, the chief registering officer, to decide what will be on the voter ID card. And then, of course, in this proposed new revised electoral laws, there's no provision for campaign finance regulation. And in terms of access to media, the media is restricted to DBS radio or the government. So we've asked in the build up to this, in the consultation, we asked for access to all media, that the law, the election law, must provide for access to all media. They have restricted it to DBS radio, which is state-owned. This cannot be allowed to happen. And the only way it is not going to be allowed to happen is if the people decide they don't want it to happen. And so Sunday's gathering, Sunday's assembly of people from all walks of life in Dominica, from all areas of Dominica, is extremely important. And I'm going to spend a little time with you, Matt, on a few subjects this afternoon that tie back to this necessity for us to be, we the people, to be in control of the government of Dominica, not to have a situation where the government has installed, the people who in government have installed themselves through all sorts of practices, irregularities, illegalities, fraudulent conduct, and so on, and they have captured the government. They will not relent. They have no intention of letting it go. And they're using their capture of government to do exactly what they want with the people's resources against the interest of the people. And so the time has come when the people must stand. The people must show the government that they're serious about returning their country to right order. Now, let's talk about the airport, Matt. This is a big one. We've spoken about it for a long time. Going back to 1998, the United Workers' Party had completed all plans and studies for the construction of an international airport and had begun pouring up the money to commence construction. 1998. We come to this time now, after 20 plus years in government, the Labour Party that promised an international airport over and over and over again, finally decided a couple of years ago it was going to proceed, and it was going to proceed with an airport that was funded by our passport money. It did it in a way that it was going to allow Anthony Hayden, who they appointed as developer, to, they say front load the money, but we have no evidence of front loading. And the money that is being front loaded has to be from the more than $6 billion of our passport money over the 7-year period, 2016 to 2023, that has not come into the Treasury of Dominica, but which the likes of Hayden and company outside know about. So they're paying money from that, and they have an arrangement from which they will replenish and refund themselves from our money, having spent our money on our business in Dominica. All the time that this airport was being developed, we were asking the government, how could you know what the airport was going to cost if you did not complete the soil survey, as an example? And they brushed it aside. They said, oh, you all are negative. You all don't want Dominica to have an international airport. You were calling for it all through these years. Now it is going to be built. You have a problem. We said, no, we don't have a problem. We want the international airport. We're concerned that it be done properly. And it seems strange to us that you know what the airport is going to cost, over $1.3 billion, but you have not completed the soil surveys, which will tell you what kind of soil you're dealing with, and in fact, what is it you're able to put down there. Basic. Everywhere around the world, that's number one. That's where it begins. They didn't do it. They announced that they were building a $1.3 billion airport. And after that fact, they told us they were They were going to complete the soil surveys in about another year or so after that, right? However, they appointed a developer, Anthony Hayden, and Anthony Hayden went and appointed a main contractor, China Railway 5. China Railway 5, based on information that is given to it by the developer, contracts with the developer to design and to build the international airport for 247 million US dollars.
200.
247 million US dollars, or 672 million EC.
EC dollars, yes.
Right? But you're designing and building for 672 million, but the overall cost of your international airport is 1.3 billion. The rest of the money is doing what? Because that now is about another 672 million. You are designing and building for 672 million, and then you have another 600 plus million out there. To do what? Turns out that we are understanding that when the contractors mobilized and they started doing work, they realized that they were operating on some false grounds.
Okay.
That what they were told, the soil or what they wanted to do there was not going to be possible. And they needed to do, for example, additional things that they did not cater for, like putting cement, mixing cement into the soil to stabilize it so that a proper foundation could be laid for the strip and the terminal building. Now, they've come to the realization that $247 million is not going to be enough. Right? They need another 132 million US dollars in what we call variation cost. So the variation, they have to vary now the terms to bring on board another 132 million US dollars to do the job that they have contracted to do. The developer doesn't want to pay, I understand. Okay. He has a whole 672 million, he has a whole $250 million more, right? US. But he doesn't want to pay anything else for the design and build people to complete the airport properly for us. So over the past couple of weeks, some stories have emerged, going back to late last year, where MMCE, the developer, is accusing the government now of breach of contract, saying that the government has not fulfilled its obligations to provide duty-free concessions, tax concessions on the tax concessions, and they're referencing cement importation by the main contractor, CR5, and so on. When you study that carefully and you look at the items that have never been on the tax concessions like fuel and cement and so on, you realize that MMC is cooking up a story to put the government in a position where the government will take the blame in the event that the contractor, the main contractor, terminates the contract. They have told the government there is a risk that the contractor, the main contractor, will terminate. Correspondence going back to October of 2023. But they're not saying that the risk of the contractor terminating is a result of MMC's refusal to pay the variation cost at the level of 132 million US dollars. The Prime Minister, the members of the government, they're aware of all of that. They're sitting down and all that. Nobody tells the public anything, right? They want to give the public the impression that all is well and all is going fine until one day coming soon, the contractor, if they don't get what they want, will drop and move on. And then we will be in a position where we have spent all this money on an airport that we don't know how we're going to finish. there's a real risk, Matt, based on what is going on now, what has happened last year, and what we have seen correspondence for, that this airport is going to be, we're going to be very challenged to finish.
So what
this
is
international
happening
airport.
on the ground as we speak, Lennox?
I do not know. And I hope that the government will tell us exactly what is happening. Good. Now, that's one part of the difficulty. And I want to say, you cannot have a government, that's one of the consequences. The government has been totally reckless in its planning and execution of this international airport contract, this international airport. And it's looking as though it's not an airport they wanted to build. They wanted a scheme to steal. They wanted a scheme to steal passport money. And it may well turn out to be just that, in the very same way as we had the Layo River Hotel back in the early days of citizenship by investment in Dominica. So how do you have a government that is so reckless and so irresponsible with using your resources? We need the airport, you know. The public interest is for the airport. But it is not being properly managed and dealt with by this government. They seem more concerned about who can, from their side, can make money as opposed to whether we finish the hotel, the airport or not. And that is a serious matter on which the people of Dominica must say to the government, listen, that's not acceptable. We will not tolerate this. You're going to build that airport and you're going to build it properly for us, and it is going to be done in the most economical way that doesn't result in any excess or burdensome cost on us, the people of Dominica, because this is our money that is being used. And we will not tolerate any theft of the passport money that is supposed to be building the international hotel, the international airport either. You will notice.
Before you continue, Lennox, I have a similar story that's kind of tied, because I'm hearing from a lot of construction workers and contractors building buildings for the government of Dominica, that when they send in the invoices to whoever is responsible here, these people, the contractors, are not being paid. They need to send the invoices to the big boy there,
Mr. Hayden.
MMC, Mr. Hayden. So because they're not being paid, and
okay, but there's a problem with contract work that's been done on government on public infrastructure, financed by passport money. A lot of that is, but I would say 100% of that is true Anthony Hayden and MMC, and there's a problem there because we are learning, Matt Peltier, that after all these months of everybody broke and Mr. Abdullah is supposed to bring the money, you know,
no money,
and there's no money is coming in, and contractors are struggling. We're now hearing that the National Bank of Dominica, they can call and correct me if I'm wrong, that they have a correspondent banking relationship with Bank of America. And between those two, they have basically shut down wire transfers from MMC into Dominica.
Wow.
At this point, because MMC is refusing to comply with the bank due diligence requirements for moving money into Dominica. You have to provide a contract on which, you know, you're paying this money. You have to tell them what the source of funds are. Nothing you don't know. Okay? And they have decided, in the absence of the information we need coming from you, we're returning the money to sender. Okay? So wires have frozen up from MMC. And so a situation is on our doorstep right now that if nothing happens within the next couple of weeks, you could see a shutdown on projects funded by Dominica passport money through Montreal Management Company. And I am told the Prime Minister has washed his hands. He threw up his hands in the air like Pontius Pilate. He says that this is the responsibility of the developer to sort out his affairs with the banking sector. You know what the problem with that is? The bank we're talking about is the National Bank of Dominica, which is under the supervision of the Prime Minister on behalf of the people. He's supervising it on behalf of the people. That is his role. It's a state. Majority of it is state-owned, and then you have individual members of Dominica, individual people from Dominica who have shareholding in it. It's a Dominica Bank. The Prime Minister decides who is on the board. His government decides who is on the board, who runs it, and so on. And that entity cannot receive money from passports that the same government under Roosevelt Scared is selling in the outside world. They cannot receive that money coming in. So he's responsible for the arrangements under which the passports are being sold and who is selling them and who has the money, right? And he's responsible for the bank to which the money is coming, but he washes his hands and he says, like Pontius Pilate, he says, I'm sorry, the MMC has to sort itself out and do what's necessary to be done. You know the problem in that, Matt?
I'm listening.
It now appears that that is exactly what MMC and Roosevelt Scared wants, that the money cannot come into Dominica, so it will stay overseas, and they will use it overseas to do their business overseas. I hear people are buying $100 million buildings, properties in Dubai. People associated with our program. And then you notice that the marina in Portsmouth that was in the bucket list of
Things to do.
Anthony Hayden to be done is now moved very quietly to Range and Mohammed Azaria, who since the $163 million that himself and Kamal Shahada made for building the Kempinski, he went quiet. Nobody heard anything about him. The years have passed. They believe everything is okay. Range is back. Range is back. Building the marina in Portsmouth for God knows how much they will charge. They charged $163 million. They put that in their pocket to build the Kempinski before it had received a single guest. I don't know where else in the world that could happen, but it happened in Dominica. And with all the difficulties we've been through in the last 7 years, trying to make sense of our passport money and where it is and why a few people have all of it doing what they want with it. You know, we're in hurricane season. Maria, 2017. After Maria in 2017 and until the end of 2023, we picked up $8.4 billion from the sale of passports, you know. Scared pretends as though we did nothing. We picked up $8.4 billion. Only $2.3 billion came in, and they still, since Maria, $6.1 billion, $6,100 million since Maria that has stayed out, belonging to Dominica from the sale of its passports, that has stayed outside of Dominica. Who does that? A government that has control of the electoral process and believes that it will never lose government because there will never be free and fair elections. And so they are fixing up themselves to continue to impose themselves on people in that corrupt, very evil way. So now we have a problem that only the nation standing together and acting together will fix. These people who are benefiting from what they're doing to Dominica are not the ones going to fix it, you know. You don't expect them to be at the arch on Sunday. As a matter of fact, you expect them to be discouraging people from going to the arch on Sunday. But the people of Dominica, from Scottshead to Capuchin, east to west, everybody should now be making arrangements for them to come to Roseau on Sunday, weather permitting. I think the weather is going to be fine. We've heard we'll have some tropical storm kind of conditions. Maybe Thursday, Friday. We should be good by Sunday, and people should come out to show this government that they mean business. Now, when we talk about what is going on here now, expect to hear pushback and people talking about, oh, well, they don't like the government. Well, the government must speak, you know. The people in the government, the people in the parliament, they must speak. The representatives of people across Dominica in the different constituencies, they must speak. And the people who are there representing must ask them questions. What is going on? What is going on? With our money, with our resources, what is going on? And while that is happening, the government is in a very interesting game with the International Monetary Fund, where they come up with these Article 4 reports that are supposed to tell you the economy is wonderful, it is growing 5.6% because tourism is back to pre-COVID levels, and you're seeing growth in arrivals, and this is rebounding and that is rebounding, but nothing is happening for anybody in the economy of Dominica by way of new employment, by way of being able to earn more money, by being able to make more profits. Everybody is struggling in this economy that, as far as the IMF and the government are concerned, is doing wonderfully well. But it doesn't matter how well the economy is doing. The IMF and the government are trying to find ways to squeeze poor people in the country. They came up with this business of increasing the water bill. They've done it. Remember when they were talking about, so they now have a water access charge, higher water bills for the poor suffering people of Dominica. They spoke about the VAT on the fuel surcharge. They wanted to put it back, or to put the VAT on the fuel surcharge. They've done that, and they've made your electricity bill higher. Okay? Everywhere you turn, they're looking for something that will make the cost of living more burdensome for you. And already they know that the prices of things, of food stuff, just keep climbing and climbing. Never mind how much they say inflation is going down. Inflation is going down, but prices in the supermarkets are rising out of the ability of the ordinary person in Dominica to make ends meet and to feed their families.
So the poor is being squeezed at this time.
The poor is being squeezed. But in this situation where the poor is being squeezed, hear what the IMF is coming with again.
Let's take a break, Lennox, and we'll come back to talk.
But this one is bigger.
Yes, we're going to come back after this.
Good.
Take care.
News from Sunrise Airways. Starting May 25th, we're expanding to the Eastern Caribbean with new service to St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, and St. Lucia. Enjoy round-trip fares starting as low as $199 US. Book now at sunriseairways.net or through your travel advisor. Experience the best in travel with Sunrise Airways. We fly to connect people. Book today. Something good. Something good. Fantastic news from Eaststar Trading Limited, presenting yet another top quality, unbeatably priced product brought in especially for you. Just receive world-class clear brand canned tuna in chunks and flakes, available in sunflower oil and brine. Prices start as low as $2.95 per can. Yes, you heard right. Clear brand canned tuna, perfect for delicious dishes at home, in restaurants and hotels. Shop and save today on world-class clear brand tuna, available at Eaststar Trading Limited. Eaststar Trading Limited, working hard every day to make a difference for you. Something good. Something good.
This is Asa Banton, your Tropical Water Ambassador, with your hurricane tip for today. Strengthen your home. Trim trees, Ensure drains are cleaned and ensure you have sufficient plywood, aluminum panels to board up your windows and doors. Ensure that outdoor items can be secured. Be prepared and remember to stock up on Tropiton water.
In this hot summer, D&D Plumbing is doing it again. It's the points and deals bonanza from June 10th to July 31st. The more you buy, the more points you get, the more discounts you receive. Get to 25 points and you get 10% discount. From 35 to 40 points, you receive 12.5% discount. And from 45 to 50 points, you get 15% discount. The more times you purchase, the more discounts you receive. Come to D&D today and purchase anything store-wide and get your card with 5 points already on it. And the more points you get, the more discounts you receive. And your bonus only for the month of June is the Drain Buster. Get your Drain Buster today and enjoy 10% discount. D&D Plumbing. Terms and conditions apply.
The Cultural Division, in collaboration with Three Monkeys Bar, Caribbean presents Afro Artistic Afterwork Live. Immerse yourself in the sound of sweet Afrobeats, traditional drumming, music by DJ Snow, and you can even have a dance. Witness the official launch of the 2024 National Miss Warp Duet Pageant contestants. So be there at the Bayfront, opposite the Three Monkeys Bar, on July 5th, 2024, for Afro Artistic Afterwork Live. It's gonna be a rush.
All right, we're back. Before the break, Lennox, you were speaking to some issues with the IMF, per Dominica.
Yes, man. The IMF has been, doing these Article 4 consultations in Dominica. And it seems more and more, with everyone you read, more and more these days, that this is no longer an independent review or look at the economy. This is an exercise in which the IMF technicians come to Dominica, they sit down and they listen to the propaganda of the government, and they go back and package it, the propaganda, make it more, put it more in their language, but to throw it back out to people that everything is fine. And it was the IMF that came up with this thing about higher water rates, increasing the water rates. They have done that. The government has done that. Electricity is up. The cost of living is rising. IMF is not concerned about that. You know what the IMF is concerned about now? The IMF is concerned about the money being spent on the National Employment Program.
The NEP.
The NEP. And you remember sometime last year, Mr. Skerritt said that the NEP is something you can cut out at any time. It's not he can go to cabinet. It's a cabinet decision, and he can, in a matter of seconds, it can be gone.
Yeah, I think
you have that. You must have that there, Matt, somewhere.
I have to click. Let me see if I can get that.
Listen to this.
Let's play that.
And what Dominicans must understand, I'm speaking especially to some of my Labour Party people, who sometimes get carried away and this and that and whispering and talking a lot of foolishness sometimes. All of these programs are policy initiatives deal by way of cabinet decisions. And all it requires, it doesn't require a cabinet decision to reverse it. All it requires is a member for the Prime Minister. Easy as that. I could stop the NDP program within a few seconds. The history program, the pension for non-contributors, the education assistance, housing assistance, and home construction. I could stop all of these programs within a few seconds. Easy as that.
Easy as that. Easy as that. He could scrap the NEP program. But Mr. Skerritt has been in discussion with the IMF about the NEP. And now the IMF has put forward a recommendation that the NEP should return to its original mandate, which is training and development and so on. And the cost of the NEP wage bill should be reduced by 33%. The figure associated with that 33% reduction in the NEP wage bill is $16.7 million per year, meaning that this government is spending on the National Employment Program $50.1 million.
50 what?
$50.1 million a year on the National Employment Program. Now, I want to make the observation, listen to me carefully, Dominica, that the workers who are doing the clearing of the roads that we see, that's the face of the NEP. But that's not all the people who work in NEP. There are a number of NEP workers in business establishments all across the country. There are a number of companies who have the entire wage bill or a significant portion of the wage bill paid through the NEP, and those numbers add up. So let's look at the numbers. $16.7 million to come off the NEP wage bill a year. That's the IMF recommendation. And see, Mr. Skerritt has already told you he wants to do something about it, and he could just flash with a stroke of a pen. Now it's coming from the IMF people that they should reduce by 33%. What does that mean? It means that you're going to send home more than 1,000 persons employed with the NEP at an average of $15,000 a year.
Well, I just heard Mr. Finance Minister saying that is going to remain, though.
Well, he must talk to the IMF because they did the Article 4 consultation, and the final report, the final Article 4 report, they had a preliminary in March. The final one is out now in June, early part of June. Well, it came out in June. And in that, they are proposing, or they are suggesting to the government that it needs to slash the NEP wage bill by 33% or $16.7 million a year, which is going to send over 1,000 NEP workers to their homes.
Lennox, listen well, because I'm trying to make this make sense. Listen to Mr. McIntyre recent times.
I would really want all the people working on the NEP to recognize that we understand the importance of their job to the country. And there's absolutely no way we're going to cut off the NEP program. So let everyone just be cool, be calm, rest assured that the government has their back on this one. We recognize the importance of the NEP, and there's absolutely no way we're going to cut off the NEP. As a matter of fact, so many people have been so proud of the job that the NEP is doing, and the government is really proud, and the country should really applaud the NEP for such a good job they have been doing, keeping our country clean, keeping our country green. We just have only praise and good words for the job that the NEP has been doing. Granted, sometimes the salaries may be a little late, but that is nothing to say that we have any intention of cutting off the NEP. That's definitely off the cards for now.
Well, that's Mr. McIntyre reassuring. Did he get that statement from the IMF, Mr. Lennox Hinton? Did he get that statement? Or the correspondence? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Well, the finance minister needs to be talking to the IMF. It has not been said that the NEP program is going to be scrapped. What the IMF has recommended to the government, and the government usually listens and tells the IMF what its concerns and constraints are. They agree in these Article 4 consultations as to what the way forward is going to be. And I'd be surprised if Mr. McIntyre, the Minister of Finance, does not know that the IMF is proposing that the NEP wage bill be cut by 33% or $16.7 million a year. So when he comes and he says there's no plan to cut they didn't say they're cutting the NEP totally. They said they are reducing it by 33%. The wage bill will be reduced. What are the implications of that? Reducing the wage bill? Over 1,000 NEP workers will be sent home in these hard economic times. And you wouldn't hear anything about them, they'll just quietly
disappear,
end up at their homes with nothing to do. Right? But Mr. McIntyre tells you that they're keeping it. Yes, they're keeping it. And we would not know because Dominicans don't like to talk. Dominicans like to suffer in silence, which is why we're saying let's break that cycle of suffering in silence. Let us all who are suffering in Dominica, who are brokes, let us all who are under the gun of this government, this bad governance that we have seen in the country over the last 2 decades, let all of us assemble on Sunday afternoon at the Arch in Roseau. And think of more than 1,000 young people going home at this time when things are so hard for families all around Dominica. What are you trying to do? You see, the government no longer understands the plight of poor people in this country, and it can afford to do that because it knows elections have consequences. And once it maintains control of the electoral process and it can do what it wants, then it can do what it wants with the electoral process. It can do what it wants with the people as well. And they're doing what they want with the people. Because last year in September, when they went and took salary increases for themselves, they were not concerned about the thousands of public officers who they gave nothing at all, while the prime minister took a 50% increase in salary and he gave his ministers 28% increase in salary. Only they needed salary adjustment so that they could cope with the circumstances that they have visited on the people of Dominica. They're responsible for the economy and the suffering of the people. They take care of themselves from the people's money and they leave the people without. And the people are afraid, say what? They're afraid to come out and show that they are disgusted. Well, the people must understand what happens elsewhere in the world. When people are oppressed, when people are unfairly treated, as they are being unfairly treated in Dominica, when the people's rights are being set aside, the democratic rights are being set aside, when the right to elect a government is being taken away from them, the government by their majority votes is being taken away from them, they have to stand. They have to stand, or else the oppression will continue, or else the poverty will continue to increase in this country. And those who are making sure that Dominicans become poorer and poorer are not the ones who are going to change anything for you. They're good. There's no need for Anthony Hayden to ensure that he complies with the requirements for moving money into Dominica from the sale of Dominican passports, because if he does not comply, the money stays outside. And he can use the excuse that he cannot get it through the financial system. So it stays where it is. And he spends it for whatever purpose he wants, for himself and his friends in the government. They will find from that money to buy the election in Dominica. You know. They'll find money from the passport money overseas, and they'll bring it in how they normally bring in things. They will use diplomatic pouch. They'll pass through the departure lounge with the diplomatic lounge. They'll pass through there with their suitcases of cash, U.S. cash, and come into Dominica and spend it and buy out the election. They don't care whether contractors get paid. They don't care whether the people who are doing decent work, honest work at the airport, on contracts that are financed at grammar school and elsewhere that are financed by citizenship money. They don't care if their families are hungry and have no money, but they will make sure that money from there, from the passports, is available to buy the election, to pay for the plane loads of people that will come in to influence the results in marginal constituencies, etc. The usual strategy. And they're doing that so that they can continue. All they want is a way to continue to do what they're doing while Dominica heads to hell in a handbasket.
Can we expect an election, Lennox? A snap election? Do you believe that? If we're going by the playbook of the Prime Minister.
Yeah, we could have elections every 2 years, every 1 year, maybe like even take it down to every 6 months. Every time he feels he can have an election, but he cannot be saying that these reforms that he's proposing, which really amounts to the form of the process, must go into effect, and then he'll have an election, and then be having all these stories floating around that election coming next week or next month or December, when the law, when it takes effect, will require a confirmation period that is up to 15 months, a period of confirmation on the register of voters, that it will go up to 15 months. To have an election before that 15-month period expires would be basically spitting in the face of Dominicans and telling them that you all are my little playthings. You mean nothing to me. As far as I'm concerned, I can do what I want with you. I'm having elections.
But he
And you
did
can do
say
that.
he was going to Parliament before the end of June with his new bills. We've not seen this. So
Well, no, that hasn't happened. But that was the plan. It hasn't happened. I don't know what the new plan is because it has not been communicated. You had a press conference recently?
No, I haven't. We haven't had a press conference. But let's take a few phone calls. Everybody's on the line trying to connect. Our main focus this afternoon is the big meeting planned there for Sunday. What time is that meeting?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. On the telephone, hello, talk to me at the Arch. Talk to me, yes?
Mr. Pelton, blessings to you, bro.
Blessings to you.
Honorable Lincoln, blessings to you, sir.
Mr. Tyrone Anthony, blessings to you, sir.
My brethren, thanks for the sacrifices. Thanks for the services to the people and the country. Should I divide them or separate them? It's very interesting. A few things quickly. But let me just give thanks to you always, my brother. Because we would be in the pit of hell, deeper. We're halfway there. If it was not for you, Mr. Linton. And Matt Pelty can testify to that, but he can't say that publicly. Matt, can you?
I can say it all the time, anytime.
Okay, thank you for endorsing what I've just concluded already. I thought of Lai River Hotel, the same scheme. I was telling a friend, prior to these criminals went and find international criminals to help them to steal Dominica billions. They had the hunter. But as soon as the financial transaction took place, they fell asleep. When they wake up, they end up having the blade. And now they're afraid. They cannot pull. They're going to get slashed. So you see where we end up in Dominica. And Matt, this is an analogy. You have a little prostitute, a little ghetto girl, doing a little thing. She said, let me go New York or Dubai or wherever on the international stage. But she just get infected with some incurable STDs. And that is what that happening, Matt. Stay in your little ghetto, trust your little people and deal with them. You want to go on the world stage and find criminals to help you to steal Dominica money. So, Matt, it is sad to see what is happening to us. And the churches, the only reason these criminals could have done what they're doing to the people, they pay the churches, they bought them off, all these pastors and some of those priests. That is why these criminals can do that to Dominica. And it kept Mr. Linton, the sacrificial lamb. And some criminals matter saying, Mr. Linton, the more he come with those information, the more popular he makes Eric come. But curse all you so much by trying to change. Matt, can you please help me? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. 449-3095-9669. Somebody's asking me to ask you, Lennox, where do we get the NEP money from?
The NEP money is largely Dominica passport money.
Passport money?
Yeah.
So now it's drying up.
Well,
the wells are drying up.
As it's drying up, Mr. Skerritt is looking for ways to ease himself out of it. But remember, the whole purpose of the NEP was to put people on track for more sustainable long-term employment, which has not happened. Remember, the NEP came in when we were talking about creating 5,000 new jobs in the economy. That was back in 2014 and before 2014 and before. And you've seen what they have done with it. Now, what is interesting at this phase is they can be talking about getting rid of over 1,000 NEP workers, but nothing is on the table as to where these 1,000 people will find new employment. Nothing is on the table. So it's all stacked up against the poor man and the young people of this country. They have a little job paying them $1,500 a month or $1,200 a month or $1,800 a month, depending on where you are. And the government is looking to take that away right now to send home over 1,000 of them because the IMF says that they should generate some savings so that the books look better while poor people suffer.
All right, on the telephone, good afternoon to you.
Mr. Linton, I always admire you, Mr. Linton, but I have said it before and I'll say it again, Mr. Linton, that if the people of Dominica are not adhering to your call, they are not heeding to your call, and you've been calling so many times over the years, and you've been giving them the information that is needed, the information that is totally correct, and they're saying no to your call. They are not responding. Mr. Linton, I've said it to you. I would leave them alone. I would leave them as Zafayo, Mr. Linton. These people are not hearing, they are not listening, and they are not taking heed. They don't care. Yo, pa, melee, what Scary does, he does. I have friends in the banking and police, and they're saying, oh, they're not in this, they're not in that, they're not in that. But when the effect of that comes, it's for all of us, it's the positive response. It's for all of them, but they're saying they're not in this, they're not in that. They get me angry. And anger I should never even worry about because I don't live in Dominica. But I'm concerned about Dominica and what is going on in Dominica right now. The people Pamela, your effort, I cannot say it's going in vain, but to me it seems like it's in vain because you have been telling them, you have been teaching them, you have been calling upon them for the longest while and they're not responding. They're not doing anything about it. Mr. Linton, hats go out to you, man. Keep doing whatever you're doing, but you got to think about
Thank you.
it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Need to engage Boston for a minute.
The Cultural Division, in collaboration with the Three Monkeys Bar, Caribbean presents Afro-Artistic Afterwork Line. Immerse yourself in the sound of sweet Afrobeats, traditional drumming, music by DJ Snow, and you can even have a dance. Witness the official launch of the 2024 National Miss Warped Jade Pageant contestants. So be there at the Bayfront, opposite the Three Monkeys Bar, on July 5th, 2024, for Afro-Artistic Afterwork Line. It's gonna be a rush.
Something good. Something good. Fantastic news from Eaststar Trading Limited, presenting yet another top quality, unbeatably priced product brought in especially for you. Just received world-class Cleo brand canned tuna in chunks and flakes, available in sunflower oil and brine. Prices start as low as $2.95 per can. Yes, you heard right. Cleo brand canned tuna, perfect for delicious dishes at home, in restaurants and hotels. Shop and save today on world-class Cleo brand tuna, available at Eaststar Trading Limited. Eaststar Trading Limited, working hard every day to make a difference for you. Something good. Something good.
This is Esther Banton, your Tropical Water Ambassador, with your hurricane tip for today. Strengthen your home, trim trees, ensure drains are cleaned, and ensure you have sufficient plywood, aluminum panels to board up your windows and doors. Ensure that outdoor items can be secured. Be prepared and remember to stock up on Tropical Water.
Sunrise, arise. Sunrise, arise. Exciting news from Sunrise Airways. Starting May 25th, we're expanding to the Eastern Caribbean with a new service to St. Kitts, Antigua, Dominica, and St. Lucia. Enjoy round-trip fares starting as low as $199 US. Book now at sunriseairways.net or through your travel advisor. Experience the best in travel with Sunrise Airways. We fly to connect people. Book today.
All right, Dominica, we're back. 219. We're in the house. With us is the president of the United Workers' Party, Mr. Lennox Linton. Good afternoon to you, man. Somebody says there on a WhatsApp message. This conversation takes me back to the pepper conversation with you yesterday afternoon. Some Dominicans crying down. I feel sorry for the young people of Dominica. Scarrett is doing anything to ensure their growth. Let us, we are on the issue of this hurricane trotting through the Caribbean and now in Jamaica. Any thoughts? Any thoughts as we speak?
It's a matter of grave concern for us who live in these islands that we now appear to have a lengthened hurricane season. The passage of Beryl a couple of days ago, during that we heard that it was the first ever Category 4 or 5 storm in the Atlantic so early. In July it was coming at us from the end of June. Today is only the 3rd of July, and we already have a hurricane that has reached Category 5 strength. Normally you'd be thinking of those later down in October, not October, August, September. But right now we're getting them in July. So think about this. We are going to be in a period, an extended hurricane period of intense hurricane period for July, August, September,
October,
even October.
Possibly November.
Possibly November. So that's
And
6 months where we will be living in anxiety over what is coming next. Imagine Beryl passed very far away from us, very far south of us. It was down in the Grenadine Islands, in Carriacou and Petit Martinique and so on. That's where most of the damage was done around the eye of the storm. We are further up north. But once it got out into the Caribbean Sea now, the waters that damaged the West Coast roads and so on, the coastline, how often are we going to have that? So even though we don't have a hurricane, we're going to have these effects of the swells, the sea swells. We're going to have the effects of the heavy rains and the flooding. And then on the other side of that, the hurricane could pass very close to us or over us, which would be devastation from the winds and so on. We'll be living with that anxiety for 5 or 6 months every year. Matt, God help us.
God really help us. On the telephone. Yes, good afternoon. Yeah?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
I'm being a bit pedantic here, but Mr. Linton said that we have an extended hurricane season period. Well, that's not quite true. We have an earlier storm, but the season always begins in June and ends in November. But I understand what he's saying, but the reason I'm being pedantic is it is possible, and let us hope, because we won't know until November comes whether what has happened is that the pattern has changed. It is possible that August has come up to June, and maybe September, November will be without hurricanes. It is possible. So until that happens, until November comes, and we find out what the situation really is, I wouldn't want to make a prediction as to whether we're going to have storms all through from June until.
Well, I'm hearing from all international forecasters that we expect it's going to be a very, very busy. Not only Lennox Linton, all the forecasters are international are saying the very same thing. It's just
unlike Darius Liquent, I grew up in the time of June was too soon for hurricane. July you should stand by for the hurricane. August you would have the hurricane. September you would remember it, and then October it will be all over. June too soon. You remember that, Matt?
I remember.
Maybe Darius Liquent doesn't remember that. So I'm coming forward from those days to now, where June is no longer too soon for hurricane. July is not standby. Hurricane Category 5 on you in July.
Are you there, Mr. Liquent? Yes?
I'm here still. Lennox, I agree with you. What I'm saying, it used to be August come you must, right? Because June too soon, June standby. What I'm saying, until November comes, we won't know whether it has. What has happened is that June you must, and September and October, November there's nothing. We don't know that until the season is over.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
449-3095, 449-3096, and 449-3097, 616-4257. We're here, 305-432-9624. All right, Dominica, it's the 3rd day of July. A Wednesday it is. As we continue to take your phone calls, 449-3095, 96 and 97. Let's have a similar situation that we are having there with our friend there, MMCE, as it relates to St. Kitts and St. Lucia. And, these companies that may have been underselling our passports.
Yeah.
Have you been studying that?
The situation in St. Kitts and in
St. Lucia?
St. Lucia, and at least the revelations that have come to the fore regarding Galaxy that operates both in St. Kitts and in St. Lucia, there are some similarities to what has been happening down here with MMCE and having one outfit that basically has been allowed by the government to corner the market for passport sales over and above all other agents who are involved in the program for Dominica. In the case of Dominica, nobody else was brave enough or bold enough to challenge what MMC is doing, although it was illegally, unlawfully hurting their interest, their passport selling interest as duly appointed agents for the program by the government of Dominica. In the case of St. Kitts, there's this one man, Felipe Martinez, who felt that his interest was being injured by the operations for the Galaxy outfit, and he decided to go to court. He decided to go to court because his investment was impaired. And I don't know what it is about Dominica that we don't seem to have that kind of support, or we don't seem to attract people of that nature who will engage in a fight that is essentially for the country. Mm-hmm. That is essentially for the country, because what Felipe Martinez is doing with this RICO lawsuit is trying to bring the situation of the passport sales in St. Kitts and in St. Lucia to right order for the benefit of himself, yes, at a certain level, but I think more importantly for the people of this country. I want to say that we don't seem to be a country where help comes to us. It seems as though we have to do everything for ourselves. We have moved ahead with this CBI matter, and we are going to place it in the hands of the court. So we have retained the counsel. We have retained senior counsel in Trinidad to lead this matter for us before the court. And that is going on. We have already spent in excess of $40,000 on retaining this attorney. We believe that there is an excellent chance of success in the courts with the matter that we will place before the courts. But of course, it is a matter that is going to require support of the people of Dominica. Everybody says, well, what are we doing about it? What are we doing about it? Well, we are going to court. And we will be calling on the people of Dominica at the appropriate time for the support to help with that. Like I said, we've already spent in excess of $40,000 retaining counsel for this matter. A pre-action protocol letter has gone to the government, the Attorney General's office. There has not been a response. The case is being prepared. The case against the government for the abuse of the citizenship by investment resources is being prepared, and we'll be going into the courts with it. And of course, looking for the support of the people. But what is happening in St. Lucia that caught the attention of this American investor who decided to take it on and to take on the authorities is no different from what has been happening in Dominica of Anthony Hayden. And we have seen it come, we've seen it blown up in front of our faces. And even in this circumstance, the number of people who are hesitant to stand up and say, well, yeah, it is wrong. And we need to deal with it, which is another reason why people must be assembled in Roseau by the Arch on Sunday. This man basically has significant amounts of money belonging to the people of Dominica under his control, and he's now seeking to get out of it by not complying with the requirements for moving money by wire transfer into the National Bank of Dominica. While that is happening, the Prime Minister of the country is washing his hands. He's playing Pontius Pilate on us right now, although he is the one who gave the gentleman the arrangement
Full permission
to sell the passports, to raise money for the airport, to raise money for the infrastructure and so on. Significant sums have been raised. They're overseas, and Mr. Skerritt doesn't care that they come into Dominica because, as he told us some time ago, there is no money owed to Dominica under the Citizenship by Investment Program, and we know that to be a total and absolute lie. So the question now is, who is looking out for the interests of Dominica? Roosevelt Skerritt, the Prime Minister, has basically abandoned the people of Dominica and the public interest of Dominica. You don't want to tell him that you're upset about that? You don't want to tell him that that's not acceptable? That he should do what is necessary to be done to ensure that our money comes into Dominica to do the work of the people of Dominica. You see, we've been talking about it for a long time, but the more we talk about it and no action is taken, the more the absurdity of it, the more the atrocity of it keeps staring us in the face. Look at where we have come now, where people are owed money, they can't be paid. We need to spend more money to ensure that a proper international airport is built. We're under risk that the main contractor could terminate the arrangement because they're not going to get the variation of costs that are necessary for that to happen. What then? Who is looking out for Dominica? We could lose the airport. We could lose all our money that is sitting under somebody else's control overseas. We could lose major projects that can no longer be funded because the money has disappeared. And we still feel it's okay to sit down and not say to Roosevelt Skerritt, in large numbers, on an opportunity like Sunday, that what he's doing is unacceptable and will not be tolerated. And we want it fixed. Not tomorrow. We want it fixed now. Now.
Hello, on the telephone. Sorry about the wait.
Hey, that's okay. I'm Peltier. Good afternoon to you. Lennox Clinton, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, bro.
I'm just going to say, dude, you have a lot of patience because you've been at this for a long time, and sometimes, like I say, we should just give up and let the bottom of the pot drop. But at the end of the day, when you're fighting for others and you're fighting for a cause that's bigger than yourself, we have to realize it's a sacrifice, not just for us, but for our country and our nation. And that's what we have taken a pledge every day when we said before God and all mankind, I pledge my loyalty and skills to the service of Dominic and to my fellow citizens. And I promise to work diligently to help build a prosperous and peaceful nation. We have said this over and over for years as a little kid in school. But the more I listen and the more I see, and I've always said before, if you plant a mango tree, you expect to see mangoes. And if you plant a tree and you don't know what kind of tree it is, you just wait for the fruits, and the fruits will tell you what kind of tree you have. I think all what is happening, it's a diversion for the subdued, subliminal influence of one, the Chinese political system, of two, and the Chinese influence on Dominica. And here's why I'm saying this. We've heard of memorandum of understanding that we have not seen. And from my observation and my vantage point, for the last 5 cycles of election, there has been subliminal influence from the Chinese on the electoral process in Dominica. We can pay attention to it if we want. We've seen the hospitals, we've seen the roads, we've seen the stadiums, we've seen everything else. And recently we've seen the celebration of Roosevelt Skerritt and his friendship with China to the point where he's giving Chinese population more access to DBS radio. The plan is than people in Dominica. Matt Peltier, if you guys pay attention, a few years ago, the Chinese said they don't get involved in building the national airport. However, all the ceremony was going on. And without tender, we have a CR5 building an international airport by what we've told as passport money. And I'm saying to myself, if our passports paying all this, $1 billion, why isn't it 90% of the revenues, the employment, the materials, the personnel goes to Dominican people? We don't see rental properties in Woodford Hill Wesley owned by Dominicans. We don't see opening of banks. We don't see supermarkets and all that stuff. That would generate revenue. And I hear people talking about Creole Festival, $1 generating $7. So can you imagine what $1.3 billion could generate in that Wesley, Marigot, Caldish area? And Linton, when I hear you cry in Dominicans to come out, it hurts me to realize how passive we are. But here's the deal. The Chinese did say they don't get involved. But during the whole process, the idea was we using CR5 just in case we don't come up with the funds. Then we have a company that has the financial backing. And I think that's a deception and an excuse. Like I said before, if you plant a tree and you don't know what tree it is, just wait for the fruits. We have not seen the memorandum of understanding, but we can see the fruits of that relationship. And that fruit tells me that what is happening in Dominica and is dictated by the Chinese. The behavior of the Roosevelt security, leaving the state security to go to the embassy that doesn't hold anybody except to spy on citizens. And the fact that the guy is nonchalant with state resources to the point where how could you give one man to sell passports? The largest revenue generation of the state, which the people appoint you to supervise and manage, belonging to the people, that's the passport sales. And you're telling me that you have a foreigner in control of this, and that guy is not yet hanged? This is treason. And we are sitting down there as people wondering, why is the guy making money? Because I suspect it's a deception. So while we're paying attention to this, now we can see Chinese trucks, Chinese employees, Chinese settlement. Chinese are even going to tell Western people when are they leaving their home. The only thing I'm telling them, I am from Benz, I'm just letting them know clearly. The day a foreigner comes to my mother's house and tell them they're going to leave, I have every right to defend my family property. And if it means I have to take up arms to defend myself against foreign intervention and local terrorists and local domestic violence, I will do it. I'm just letting that out there clear. Because at some point, the people of Dominica needs to understand when a government doesn't work for you, you have every right to remove it by force if necessary.
All right.
Because at the end of the day, we cannot sit by for 20 years when a generation has been belittled, a generation has been spoiled and taken advantage of for the glorification of one man and a foreign entity's global dominance or global agenda. I'm Matt Peltier, I'm Lennox Lyndon. I don't know what else to say to you. I don't know what else to tell Dominicans. I hear your cry. I hear your frustration. But sooner or later, all roads must come to a head. And we either deal with it now through mass demonstration, mass disobedience, or the natural order of things is it's going to get down into chaos and violence. That's it. I listen offline. You guys have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Lennon. Always making a positive contribution there. Let's go back to the telephone. Yes, talk to me. Yeah. Huh.
Quickly, Matt. I heard somebody said it. I think your second caller, having to do with Dominicans are doing nothing. There is that collective commonality that is going to move us together simultaneously. And that collective commonality is poverty. Labor rights are waking up. Do you understand for you not to be seeing light and then you're poor and you're hungry and you're voluntarily closing your eyes to the ills of the country why you are in poverty? He knows what is going to happen. That's what he said, at a stroke of a pen. So really and truly, Dominicans are waking up, my brother. You can run behind a dog 1,000 miles when it gets cornered, Matt, and it have nowhere else to run. It could be a rat, a fowl. It's flying straight in your face. Scary, you have Dominicans cornered. They are cornered, and you cannot escape. And in closing, Matt, there was a man they called Chi-Chi But they said the man was terrorizing the whole city, maybe the country. One day when he tired Duma, he watched the Rosa River, a shallow river, and he took a head dive. And that was the end of Chichi. They said, Mon Daniel have a Rosa River, Matt. If you don't go in exile, can you please take a dive in the Rosa River, a head dive? Have a blessed day.
You know, Lennox, people have been asking and wondering. I mean, you've been really reaching out and calling people to stand. At some point, you don't feel like you need to get, or you get fed up at all, Lennox? Do you get fed up? Do you get, do you think that your words maybe falling on deaf ears?
Yeah, the words fall on deaf ears many times, but the words need to be spoken because they're words of truth. And they're words about the best interest of Dominica and what is good for our nation state, and also about what is our collective responsibility to make sure that things go right in the family called Dominica. And that's all there is. I mean, I was talking to somebody a couple of days ago, and the person was telling me, Lennox, you need to go on the radio and do an interview so people can understand who you are and where you have come from, and that you're not doing this for yourself and so on and so on. I said, well, if by now people don't know that this is not about me or myself, that it's really about country, well, I don't know. If they don't know me by now, they will never ever know me. Right? Because this is not about me being prime minister or me being anything. This is just about whatever little contribution I can make to let Dominica be a better place. And especially for young people, Dominica has become a worse and worse place over the past 20 years. And when you see right now, it is over 1,000 NEP workers, young people essentially that they have targeted to send home, right? You know that this is not a country for Dominica, because the same government that is okay with that is telling you that it sends hundreds of millions of dollars overseas every year, employing foreigners in construction, paid for by the passports of the people of Dominica. So where is the interest of the people of Dominica? These people are making money. The outsiders are making money in carpentry. They're making money in plumbing. They're making money from construction of infrastructure for Dominica. Dominicans are at home sitting down, twiddling their thumbs, watching them pass, going to work, driving their vehicles and so on. What is going on? So all the people of Dominica who do not understand that, then so long as there are people who do not understand that, persons like myself will continue to make an effort to ensure that they understand. Democracy is a very, very, very messy thing, but it is the best that we have. And to the extent that we want government of the people, by the people, for the people, and we want good governance of Dominica, and we want corruption-free management of our affairs, because in corruption-free management of our affairs, we get a chance for the resources that belong to the people to be used conscientiously well for the people of Dominica.
I've heard many a professional friend saying, Matt, Lennox is a very good person, but the government of Dominica has done a good job demonizing him. Do you hear that sometimes?
Yeah, well, that's not on me, Matt, because I don't know if you remember, there was a time I lived in Dominica practically all my life. There are few years in which I have worked overseas, but I've been here. And for example, I did television. When I did television back in the
80s,
in the 90s, going into the 2000s there. I was like,
What about?
I was big celebrity in Dominica. Everybody loved Lennox Linton. Nothing was wrong with Lennox Linton. All of a sudden, when Lennox Linton got into politics, he was all of a sudden ugly. He was all of a sudden booey. He was this, he was that. He was all sorts of things, right? They couldn't say he was a thief. They couldn't say he was corrupt, but they said these other things that had this emotive connection to it that people latched on to. And a lot of people I found through the years, they hate you. They don't even know why they hate you, because they never met you and they don't know what you're about, but they hate you because They are told by the political party that they support that they should not listen to what you have to say. And firstly, and secondly, they should hate you and they should tell people that you are not a good person, etc., etc. Okay, so we have had years of that, How has that benefited Dominica? How? How has it benefited Dominica? It has put Dominica in a stage today where that sort of indifference to the foolishness that is going on, the rape and plunder of the resource of Dominica, that sort of indifference to it nationally among supporters of the party and so on. Where has that gotten us? And that hesitance that ordinary people who know what is wrong have to stand up, and that willingness that they have to stay silent, maybe something is coming for them. Where has that gotten us? It has put us in a situation today where we are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on an international airport we will not get. We are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on our money on public infrastructure, some of which may not be completed, but the benefit of that is going to outsiders because they are the ones who are getting the employment, not Dominicans. Where's it gotten us? It's gotten us to a stage where the persons who got accustomed to a little job, the thousands who got accustomed to a little job in the NEP because the government couldn't fix the economy and build the economy in a way that allowed them to have good paying jobs so that they could sustain themselves, build their lives, extend themselves as God would have them do on his piece of green in the world community. You are telling me that it is those people who are targeted now. You don't have a job for them to go to. You don't have a better paying, more sustainable job for them to go to, but you're targeting them with removal because your NEP wage bill is too high. You have no concern over the wage bill of the cabinet of ministers. 20-something of them just got a 28% increase in salary and 50% increase for the prime minister. No concern about that. No concern about the 64,000 plus rent for the prime minister and the other expenses for transportation, the other expenses for whatever else that adds up.
Is he moving out of that?
I don't know. I just know that he's costing the state somewhere in the region of $125,000 a month.
$125,000
a month. When you add everything together, himself and his family, wow. $125,000 a month. That is why he can afford. That is why he can afford to stand with the disadvantaged people of Baytown that lost their homes and so on, who have the little pusheen in their foot and their slippers, right? Some of them barefoot. And he can stand with them and hug them with a big smile on his face, wearing $9,000 designer shoes.
Wow.
I mean, who does that?
Lennox, what about the mobilization? We're talking about Sunday coming up. Some
mobilization. Next couple of days, Matt. I hope you will join the mobilization effort, because mobilization is about connecting with people right across the country and making sure that arrangements are in place for them to come to the National Assembly that we'll be having at the Arch on Sunday. And there are a number of people out there in communities across Dominica who are doing exactly what we are saying needs to be done. Right? This is an event of the Electoral Reform Coalition. They're staging it. They're meeting the expenses to set it up and so. And there's another part of it where people have to come to it from different parts of Dominica. So whether they get here by private transportation or they get there by paid transportation,
some people want to sponsor buses.
All of that will be worked out in the coming days. And all those who want to sponsor buses, all those who want to pay for transportation, all those who want to help their fellow men to get to the location, so that we have on Sunday a public show of massive dissatisfaction with the failed policies and approaches, all of the corruption that is going on, all of the rape and plunder of the resources of Dominica, all of the denial of opportunities for young people, especially, that is happening in Dominica, with no need for it to happen because we have the resources to make much happen for our people. We need to stand on Sunday. We're talking electoral reform, which is about free and fair elections, but hopefully we have connected this afternoon on a number of other things that connect with that are associated with that because of the consequences that elections have.
Somebody's asking a question quickly before you go to the next point there. Do we still have a chance after all this corruption? And do we still have a chance? Yes.
Yes.
Can we build Dominica back?
We have a chance. Although, I'm sitting here with you this afternoon, Matt, and while I'm sitting here with you talking, I'm getting information on my phone, right? Information on my phone about a very serious development that is taking place in Dominica. And I've been trying my best to follow it. I think you've been getting some messages as well. It has to do
a constitutional crisis.
Well, yeah. The best way I can summarize it, Matt, is to say that the president of the Commonwealth of Dominica has taken almost 2 weeks to mastermind a constitutional crisis through willful violation of the constitutional provisions for the appointment of a leader of the opposition.
Yes.
And I think you indicated you saw a letter.
I did.
I saw a letter that was addressed to
Mr. Paris,
Senator Delbert Paris. It appears that Senator Delbert Paris was the gentleman who wrote to the president, or it was a joint letter, I understand, from the senators on the opposition side and the member for the Salisbury constituency, the Honorable Jesma Paul, indicating that, according to this letter I'm reading here, purportedly in accordance with provisions section 66(2) of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica, directing the president as to the appointment of a leader of the opposition. And that is what she is writing about. And it goes on to say here, I am to advise that Her Excellency, this letter is coming from the Secretary of the President, Her Excellency, having given careful and deliberate consideration to your letter, section 66, in particular subsections 2 and 6 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Dominica and precedent, has determined that unelected senators are not empowered to canvass the president nor otherwise participate in the appointment of the leader of the opposition, nor is the president, on the occasion of the appointment of the leader of the opposition, required to take into account any views of unelected senators. I am to advise further that the former leader of the opposition having resigned from that office, there is no elected member of the House who appears to Her Excellency most likely to command the support of a majority of the elected members of the House who do not support the government, nor is there any elected member of the House who appears to Her Excellency to command the support of the largest single group of elected members of the House who do not support the government. Accordingly, Her Excellency has determined that there is no elected member of the House who qualifies to be elected leader of the opposition in accordance with the provisions of section 66 of the Constitution. Matt Peltier, this is disgraceful. The Constitution at section 66(2) clearly provides first option available to the president is to elect from among the elected members of the parliament who do not support the government, the elected member who commands the support of the majority of the elected members who do not support the government. In the case of Dominica at this time, you have 2 elected members who do not support the government. In this case, one has resigned. The other one is there, but for you to have the majority, both of them must agree. My understanding is that they don't agree. So you do not have an elected member now who commands the support of the majority of the elected members. The Constitution at 66.2 goes on to say, or if no such
situation can?
if no such elected member commands that support,
Use a discretion.
then not discretion. The elected member now, the one of the two, who commands the majority, the support of the largest single group of members, not elected members, members now, who do not support the government. The members who do not support the government include the senators. The composition of the parliament is defined at Section 33 of the Constitution to include senators. So the membership in the House, members of the House, comprise elected and unelected members. The president with this letter has taken elected members out of the consideration in violation of the Constitution. So what is the president going to do now? She says that there'll be no opposition leader. But the Constitution tells you how the opposition leader should be appointed in these circumstances. And it is crystal clear. Everybody should read Section 66.2. Matt, more reasons why the people of Dominica should assemble on Sunday. We need to talk about all these things because you see what is happening here? We have a president who is not doing the work of the president independently. You have a president who is working for the prime minister who appointed her. And so when I follow these pieces of correspondence I've seen on this matter, it is clear to me this is not a president acting. This is a president working for a prime minister who appointed her to the post of the president. And I don't think it gets any more.
So as we speak, we have no opposition leader.
And based on this, you're likely to have no opposition leader. When the Constitution says there shall be an opposition leader, it clearly provides for how the appointment should be made. And the president is willfully violating the provisions of the Constitution in order to create some, I don't know what the plan is, but obviously it's to create some confusion in what's going on. Matt, I'll be of course you'll be at BIH on Sunday, right?
I will be.
And the people of Dominica will join you there. I just want to close and invite all the people of Dominica. I say all, I mean all. And this comes from my heart. We need to get together. And Sunday, the 7th of July, is a very good day for that. The meeting of the Electoral Reform Coalition will focus on the very important matter of free and fair elections in Dominica and what we do jointly to get that. But we also have the agenda of Dominica to deal with and to appreciate that what is happening now from so many different points of view and so many different perspectives is just plain wrong. And we, the people, have a responsibility to do something about it. Sunday is a good day to show how serious we are moving forward to fix our Dominica, to rescue it, to rebuild it, and to ensure that it is the Dominica we want for all of Dominicans at home and abroad, and for us to live in the best place that God can offer.
Let's take one or two calls before you wrap it up. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Quickly.
Matt, good afternoon. No, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What is the GPE, the GDP for Dominica, or GDP?
The GDP, the gross domestic product, is somewhere in the region of $1.6 billion.
And the GDP of Kenya is 70 million. Okay, that is the GDP of Kenya, and the Kenyans took to the street because of the IMF formula lineup that you spoke about early in the program. That is one of the main things that moved the Kenyans to protest. And the situation in Dominica is 10 times worse than the situation in Kenya. And the people in Kenya will move to protest. And while we are in Dominica, with all types of tax increases and job cuts, and we are still wondering if we have to turn out on the 7th on Sunday, at the end of the day, I encourage everybody to join us on Sunday so that we can have some big numbers out there to send a strong message to this dictatorship. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we have one final call. Are you there, yes?
Yes, I'm here. I must speak here. One,
First of all, the person who occupies the office of the president did not just make one mistake, and Mr. Linton is also making the same mistake that they made. Remember, I said the person occupying the office, the person who's occupying the office was not elected because of reasons I said before. But if you go to subsection 5 of section 66, it tells you how the office of the leader of the opposition can become vacant. And none of them include resignation. In other words, the leader of the opposition, as long as he remains a member of the House, cannot resign. The president cannot accept the resignation, and therefore the leader of the opposition right now is still Jesma Paul. Read subsection 5 of section 66 of the Constitution. I can read it for you right now if you want me to, but we probably don't have time. But bear that in mind.
Well, we can talk to you tomorrow because we're running out of time, but I'll be eager to talk to you tomorrow.
Take care.
All right. Thank you very much. 449-3095-96. It seems that we have a constitutional crisis there on our hands. And as we speak, I know the leader of the opposition has tendered a resignation, but we're now hearing from Mr. Liquent, who is a lawyer that speaks to the Constitution, refers to himself as an expert on the Constitution, is saying differently. So let's hear the argument tomorrow. We'll come back. Lennox, tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you very much, people of Dominica. See you on Sunday afternoon, 4:00 at the Arch. Let's get together. We have a country to fix.
All right, Mr.
All
Lennox
right.
Linton. Thank you very much. Time
Yeah,
here.
bless.
Flo Dominica. Thank you. All right, Dominica, we're here. We continue.
I talked to Jess.
To DJ Duke.
Your love is like a burning fire. Way down
Always good vibes there on Q95.
soul. Your love is like a burning fire.
And Glenn Washington in the afternoon as we close up.
You're on the top of my list. Top of my list, baby.
Q95. Getting mighty close to Flo Dominica.